Welcome, good afternoon everybody. Today is August 3rd, 2023. This is the Infrastructure Advisory Board. It's 2:02 afternoon, and I would ask the staff to call the roll.
Mr. Barnett?
Here.
Mr. Bradski? Mr. Angeli?
Here.
Ms. Sharkey?
Here.
Mr. Walters?
Here.
Ms. Way?
Here.
Mr. Zellman?
Here.
Mr. Partington? Ms. Romano?
Here.
And Chair Retzker.
Here. Thank you. Okay, well, next agenda item is approval of our minutes from the previous meeting, June 1st. They're in the package.
Agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry. Approval on agenda first.
Move to approve the agenda.
I would like to provide a recommendation to move the utility service department updates up front, since that's it's holding a staff to the end of the meeting. So I apologize. I overlooked that when I was approving my agenda. I meant to do that last time. I don't like to keep the
What are we doing?
to move the utility updates from the water sewer breaks and utility billing to the second item as the old business. After the call roll and before old business. So the item number 5 to become number 2. Comments?
Would you like to do that moving forward in every agenda?
I think that's a good recommendation because I feel like the staff is sitting here for 2 hours to give us update how many sewer breaks they had. And I'm sure they have a more critical job to do. Other comments, concerns?
Just move to accept it, your motion as a friendly. Second.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I've got a question, if I may.
Oh,
Why is there on the backup information to our draft minutes, you've got, the upper right-hand corner, number 26-0622.
okay, so hold on, Ralph. So this item relates to the minutes, right? Right now we are approving agenda.
Okay.
Okay. So any opposed?
No.
Hearing none? Okay, very good. Agenda has been approved. The next item is the previous meeting minutes. Approval from June 1st. And Ralph, go ahead with the questions.
Okay, I just was wondering why one of the attachments, in the upper right-hand corner, number 26-0622 is the identical to the very next one, which is number 26-0623. The content is the same as far as I can see.
Actually, they're two separate items. Since the project was divided in two, there's a separate project now for Melrose Manors and Riverland. So one item was awarding the contract to Mancon for Melrose Manors, and the other was awarding the contract to DM and Mancini for Riverland. They're pretty identical items in the content, however, it's awarding two separate contracts.
You're here.
Okay, I guess it could have been more succinctly put in.
Yeah.
One thing, having two numbers.
I move to approve the minutes.
Okay, and the motion moved. Did she ask for a motion here?
Well, we did the discussion before we put them on the table, but second.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The minutes has been approved from June 1st. Okay, very good. And now we're gonna move to the item number 2, which is on our agenda number 5, that as we moved, utility service department update. Water and sewer breaks with the map. And I will ask the staff to go over the update.
Okay, so the 830 Southwest 27th Street was a 6-inch water main break. It was a leak on the bell joint. And 87 Isle of Venice was a separation of the service line solder connected to the water main.
Where are we reading that in the backup? It's in the map.
It's the map, okay.
There'll be sewer concerns,
I'm sorry, Jason, do you have, that's the June, and July? Or we just had a wonderful. Oh, I'm sorry, there's a July there too, okay.
So July was for the water main, 2 Hendricks Ave, which was the old 6-inch water main, burst right at just north of the bridge. As we know, that's an ongoing water main project to replace the existing 6-inch water main.
So is it fair to say that the breaks were due to age of the pipe?
Correct.
All of them, all three?
Mhm.
Including the PVC?
Well, no, the PVC, it wasn't actually the water main itself. It was the service line connection, which is the service saddle. The service saddle is a cast iron epoxy coated connection to the water main. Over time, the salt water just leaches the material. So that the PVC itself was fine. It was the service saddle connection that was bad.
Thank you. Getting out. Questions, madam?
Yes, how are we coming along with the consultant contract, or the consultant who's supposed to be analyzing all the water distribution pipes so that we can have a plan for the eventual replacement repair of the water distribution system?
I know engineering has submitted the water master plan to the consultant, and they're reviewing all the comments from staff currently.
So we have a contract with a scope of work that's being reviewed.
Correct.
Any ETA on when it should hit reality that we can look at it?
I'll check with the engineering department and I'll get back to you.
Thank you. Love to see that.
So it'll be to see what exactly, the scope of work?
The scope of work, yeah.
That'll be like a proactive water main.
That's really nice.
I think it's relevant to all of the stuff you're seeing in the papers of, now we've got a water treatment plant, what's the condition of the distribution system? And that's gonna answer the question of what's the condition of the distribution.
So just to follow Madeline, what I understand is a master plan being created by the consultant?
Correct. Right now, we're in the initial, we're in negotiations for the scope of work. There's been a few rounds of comments from city staff, and the consultant is addressing those comments and revising the scope of work accordingly based on the city's comments. So we could bring you a draft of what we have so far, because it has not been fully approved, it's not finalized yet. I could bring the draft that we have so far at the next agenda.
Okay, very good. So we would see the scope of work for the document that is
Correct.
gonna be,
The document has not.
which is the master plan for the distribution. Okay, very good.
Do we know who, okay, is it possible to tell us who the consultant is, or is that a trade secret of some
But I
kind?
can find out and let you know.
Okay,
It's
Jacobs Engineering.
Jacobs is gonna do it?
I'll confirm.
Thank you.
Do you know if the scope will have them review the data in the city database? Or will they?
We are analyzing the existing data as well that we have.
Okay, so distribution system master.
It is Jacobs Engineering.
Okay, so I agree with the members, would like to see the draft of the scope of work for the next meeting. Thank you. Okay, Jason, I'm sorry, continue with the sewer break. For the last 2 months, we didn't have a meeting.
So the sewer breaks for the month of June, there was a total of 3. So 1200 East Los Olis was an actual force main break. It was a 6-inch pipe that's pretty old. 301 Lido Drive was an issue with the lift station that caused the manholes to discharge into the waterways. And 200 Southwest First Avenue was a green blockage. For the month of July, 3033 Northeast 32nd Avenue was a lateral. It was due to a sewer cleanout backup. And 1015 Seabreeze Boulevard was a manhole issue.
What was the issue on the
A manhole issue.
manhole?
Mhm.
Can you elaborate? It's a blockage, I mean,
It was a gravity stoppage.
stoppage, okay. So we're hearing different issue on the collection system. Water age, collection system, mostly blockage and age. Okay. Well, at least contractors, they're not breaking through, so that's a good news. Yes, Roosevelt.
Question for staff on the issue where the pump station malfunctioned that caused the overflow. What happened at the station?
Yeah, so the control floats failed at that pump station, and that's what led to.
If this is a common malfunction or?
No,
No, okay. So it's not something that's gonna be continuous?
it's not a recurring situation.
Okay, appreciate it.
Yeah, it was
It's an
electrical.
electrical problem.
So they got an electrician in there and fixed the station.
Very good. Well, again, I want to congratulate the staff. You know, we're in a single digits, considering the size of this city and the age. So, thank you for doing the good work. Anything else on this item? If it comes to the breakage, board, hearing none. Okay, we can move to the next item: utility billing.
Good afternoon. We were asked to come to answer questions. We don't really have a presentation. We don't know if there's questions that was posed at the last meeting.
After the presentation.
We don't have a presentation. We were
Okay.
just asked to attend to answer questions that you guys may have.
Okay, so there was the webinar. It comes to the utility billing. There was a June 17. I believe there was a webinar from the city named "Understanding Your Water Bill Workshop." I'm sorry, so I guess workshop. So I know the residents could sign in to the webinar, and if they have any questions, it comes to the new water meters, how they calculate rates, and did you sign, Ralph?
Yeah, I had contacted the city and spoke to the gentleman that handles all the meters, readings and stuff. And I told him that there appeared to be a compounding of the months that were missed. I mean, June, November, and January. June and November of 24, and 25, and then
January
in
26.
January 26. Okay, and that unfortunately it appeared in the billing that they compounded or added what the missed months were onto the very next month. And what, that would be fine, but unfortunately they exercised their exceeding the normal usage. And they gave me a 60-cent penalty. Well, I wasn't losing sleep worrying about the amount of money, but it's a fact that somebody else may have a lot of money spending not at their fault, not at their usage, but for the mishandling and adding all those missed meter readings onto the very next one. And I hope that got corrected. I've been speaking with, and I can't recall the gentleman's name I met with, but he did say that have the people call, and I said, well, it really should be, because it's a massive thing that happened, if people don't call, then they're being charged for something that they're not local of. And feel that the city should take it upon themselves, since they allowed that to happen, they should correct it to the customers. So,
Oh,
Additional
okay.
question. Do we know what caused those misbillings?
yeah, because nobody read they didn't have anybody reading the meters for some reason.
You concur?
Well, as far as utilities, I'm not aware of meters just over the cross of the, system not being read. There is times that there is a misread, sometimes with our rain, there's water in the box or things like that, but it's not a widespread issue across the entire city. We bill about 65,000 accounts a month, so there is sometimes the meter reading company that we sub the work out to, which is Vermex, there is human error that could happen, but over the entire system, it's not a widespread issue, and now we're
Understood.
Let me chime in. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Linda Short, Director of Finance. Utility billing falls under my purview, and I was the one going off to every community, including the webinar, doing that workshop. So I went to every single neighborhood, every single district, and then I also went and did the webinar online. So there are times where if a read is not, sometimes you might have 2 reads in a month. And if 2 reads happen in a month, one on the 1st of the month and one on the 30th, it might look like it's compounding, but it's not compounding. It's just that 2 reads happens that 1 month. So on your bill, it looks like it's doubled up. So I know that that's happened in the past, here or there, but we're not having a problem where you're just getting 2 months of bills at one time. It has to do when the read happens and when the read is then transferred to utility billing to upload. And there have been times where in a month, 2 reads has happened. So it's not that we skipped a month, it's that instead of reading on the 28th, it got read on the 1st or the 2nd. And so it ends up doing that month, and then it gets read at the end of the month as well. So that's when you will have 2 reads in 1 month. Yeah.
Jonathan Roosevelt.
I hate to disagree, but I disagree.
Huh?
Other utilities do the same, whether it's your cable company or
Yeah,
whatever.
it depends on when the reads happen. We do not do the reads. We do contract with an outside third party. There has been times where they've been delayed and behind. So if the cycle was supposed to be read on the 28th or the 29th, they're a few days late, and when they're a few days late, the billing is late. But we do have estimated cycle times of when it should happen, and not all the time do we get that information from the data. And I know that the utility services team, who directly works with the meter reading company, has been trying to get them to do it and make sure they keep on time, but that's been a struggle for us, and that's what's going on right now. A struggle with them reading it timely for us.
Well, that's one problem, is getting that. The other problem is taking the month that was not read and adding it to the very next month, which are getting a double effect.
No, it looks compounded, there's no question about it, but it is 2 separate reads, so you don't see on your bill, it just depends, if you get it at the end of the month, it looks like the month has double the consumption, but it's on
We're saying the same thing, I
Right.
think, but the problem is the fact that there's penalty charges, assuming that, they assume that the fact that the person, the customer, had double the amount usage for that month, it appears to me. I'm reading it. When I spoke to the gentleman that was taking care of these problems, because there was a wide number of people that had this problem.
Yeah, the 2 bills in 1 month, what is happening? It has happened. There's no question about it.
It happened 3 times. You know, the first time, or there was 2 times, one in July and then in November of 2025.
Right. And so,
And then January of 2026.
right, and it has to do with the timing of the bill.
That information, or what was missed, there was no, they didn't have a reading. So the next month, they read the meter, and it read like for 2 months, but it was charged for that month.
So I wanna tell you that.
And I was
if-
charged a penalty.
Well, you should be charged a penalty just from the read. You charge a penalty for not paying the bill on time if there's something late. If it's a double amount, we would not charge you a penalty if we billed you.
Ralph, can
One
I
bill.
ask you a question on
Certainly.
this whole thing? I mean, I'm understanding, I think, the issue is sometimes 2 bills get read in a month.
2 bills get generated in a month.
Generated in a month, so instead of mine using 4,000 gallons that month, it reads that I used 8,000 gallons that month. It's okay, I
In
understand
the
that.
final bill, in the second bill it does. In the first bill it wouldn't. So if you get billed on the second, it'd be 4,000.
Right.
You get billed on the 30th or the 31st,
It'd be
and
4,000.
you will, the chart will show 8,000, but you're only being charged for the 4.
Okay, that's I think the issue.
Yeah.
If you're only, because there's a penalty when you go over a certain amount of
Yeah.
water, you pay at a higher rate.
It's per gallon.
You pay at a higher rate, but if you're looking at just the chart, and there's a difference between the chart on the side that shows you your consumption
Looking
and
at
your
my bill. Look
Your
at my-
bill will show something, the chart will be different than the bill. We will not bill you, and every time if there's a misread or something going on, we do an estimate. We don't go 60 days without generating you a bill. So if they don't give us the read, the system will do an estimated read. We'll run an estimated read report. It will look at your 12 months history and give you a bill with an estimate. We can't do 2 estimates, more than 2 estimates after the second estimate. We can't do it again. We need a real read, and then we might go back and reevaluate.
All right,
But we don't charge you a penalty. Utility billing team, tell me, are we charging a penalty if 2 reads happen in 1 month?
Per gallon. It's
Per
per
gallon.
gallon.
You're looking at the consumption.
Consumption, yeah.
The tier rate, but if the bill is the second, so when the second bill comes up, it pushes it to the second, the higher
Correct, and
tier?
they're getting charged more on that one bill, cause for the 8,000 gallons.
Well, that's what we're saying,
Right.
that's not
Yeah,
fair.
right.
No,
So,
thank you.
I would 100% agree with you that it's not fair, but it's not a penalty. Now, when I hear the word penalty,
Okay.
there's a penalty that's charged when you're paying the bill late, interest and penalty. This is not a penalty, but you will be billed at a higher tier because it's showing that amount of consumption for the month.
And
Is
then
there
we
some
have-
way to,
Yeah,
is
yeah.
We had
there
a
some way to
penalty on
resolve
my-
that?
Yes, we can make the adjustments, we cancel and we
And-
bill you, separately for the both.
Yeah,
bills.
just let us know.
I had a penalty of, I think it was 60 cents or something, but I'm a low,
Don't say penalty.
so I called
Different
up.
penalty.
No, it's the idea, cause I'm a director for the Imperial Point Citizens
Gotcha.
Association.
Got it.
I had buku people coming to me and saying, what the heck is the city doing? And I
Right.
said, well, I'm trying to find out the same. And they said they got charged a penalty and extra charges for what was obvious
Being
to
higher
me.
than the amount
Yeah,
of
what was, usually in a month, your customer, a single family is designated to have a certain amount of usage. And if they exceed that, then you slap a penalty for excessive
Per gallon.
demand.
Yeah, it
And
is.
so
Yeah.
and I had very low ones, but when you add another or 2 more,
In the
it
next year, yeah.
and so I was charged a penalty, and other people were charged a penalty too.
I love the word penalty, yeah.
What was, it said it on the bill, do you have my bill there? I don't know if that's the
Well, you
one or
can look at
not.
this one, yeah, that's fine.
But when I spoke to the gentleman handling this, let's see, this is, let's see.
No, but I get where you're going. So if the bill has 2 reads in a month, the second read, like they
That's
said, the
not mine.
system is not intelligent enough
That's
to
not mine.
know that it's a separate bill for a different billing period. So it compounds it, and then you might be charged at the higher tier for things that hit above. And our rates are built with conservation in mind, so.
Right, so it's not that it might happen, it does happen.
It might,
And the only way to resolve
Might,
that
it did happen.
is for somebody to call
yes.
and ask you to resolve that, because there's no way in
Right.
the system at this moment
Right.
to fix that.
That's correct.
That's the answer, Ralph.
You can give us a call, we'll readjust it.
And they don't even have to give us a call, Linda, we can pull a report.
It's a shame you have
See
to
what's
give
been to see what accounts have been impacted and just go back and
1,000,
adjust.
1,800 people will call because they
Say
were
again,
affected.
you can do this?
We can actually have a report pulled to see who's been impacted, and then just go through and adjust all the billings on those accounts.
But how would you know which
How
one's
would
the
you
full?
know?
It doesn't happen every
Just
time.
looking at anything that's beyond maybe more than 45 days in a billing period. So pull a report for anything greater than 45 days in a billing cycle, when a billing cycle shouldn't be no more than 38, 39.
But what about if the billing cycle is 94 days?
Then that wouldn't be applicable.
Right, and that's what I'm
Which,
talking about.
which would be excluded on that report, since we're only looking at those certain number of days.
Could you all look at and I know between all of you, you can figure out how to make this work, other than a person's gotta look at his bill and say, oh my God, I gotta call somebody. So could you think on it a little bit
Well, we'll see
and
what we
make
can
a suggestion of how we can deal with this?
Well,
Otherwise
we're
Ralph
seeing
is
a
gonna be
lot
so
of-
unhappy with his people, they're gonna keep calling Ralph.
But we're seeing a lot of that go down as the AMI meters are being installed. We're at 20,000 AMI meters right now. As you guys know, we're replacing all of them in the city. So now we're getting digital reads. It's not human peak going out, and that's really helping.
But that's not the problem. The problem was, it was just plain missed, both in, I guess, the new meters and the old meter areas.
Okay.
And that was the problem, and some of the people, they were really upset. They're saying, well, maybe we need to get an attorney to go in collectively with all these residents here and go after it. I said, no, we'll try to discuss it. And when I talked to the gentleman on the phone that was handling this problem, and he understood right away. He knew exactly what happened. I said, it's ridiculous for me. We wasted more than 60 cents on mine, but there's other people that have larger amounts, and that's what I'm really trying to get corrected, and hoping that it could be. And he said, well, just give me a call. And I said, it really should be an accounting exercise for the city to go through and correct those things where you can, it's obvious because you got the chart and everything, you can see where the amount was doubled, and the bar was 2 or 3 times higher than the normal usage.
I brought one of my old building, right? And just a question, on sewer, I have 3 line items, okay? I have sewer, single city family, sewer, base city, sewer monthly, and fixed charge. Is there a reason they're broken into 3?
You have your fixed charge and your base charge, which are required by ordinance. And that's broken out. One has to do with the equipment and one has to do with operations. So the base and the fixed charge. And then you have your consumption. And the consumption is based upon your water consumption. There's a sewer piece that gets charged as well.
Okay, I was just thinking, could we reduce that to make the bill simpler?
Well, the base charge is funded for one purpose, the fixed charge is funded for a different purpose, and they need to know how much we're collecting of each one of them, unfortunately, for the different parts of the operations of the utility system. And then the consumption is just based on utilization. The more water you use, you get charged a sewer charge up to a certain amount of gallons.
My next question would be the sanitation operations. So they're the single largest line item.
Yeah.
What are we doing to try to minimize those costs or prevent further increases in cost?
So the Public Works Sanitation Division does an RFP to select a vendor to help us with the sanitation, and right now the amount that we're being charged is a fee helps to reduce the cost of sanitation operations. So the only thing we can do is go back out again in the future, and I'm not sure when that contract expires, to see if we can get a hauler to do it for a different rate.
Is that truly competitive? Or are we only getting one response to the
No,
RFP?
Waste Management, Republic Services, and there was another one.
Coastal.
And Coastal. We usually get 3 to 4 to 5 different responses from the haulers.
Okay.
And then we choose the one that, of course, is the best for the city. Less interruptions, people who don't miss pickups, because we don't want somebody who they have to call every minute because they're going to be garbage. So we look at several criteria to evaluate them, and then we choose the best for the city at that time.
And do we release the contract for the regular trash pickup?
That's what it is, the trash.
Okay, and then the monthly bulk trash pickup, is that
That's
also?
part of that contract.
Would it make sense to try to break those apart to try to get a better price?
No, it's typically you get a better price from scale. So the more, the better, cheaper the price. If you split it up, it's gonna increase the price because it's less business that the person is doing. So typically we find economy of scales drives the price down.
Can I ask a question about the sanitation? Well, he mentioned sanitation. It's not on the agenda, but, okay. It's quickie. We signed, the city, signed on to the Broward, waste management plan. Did we passed that resolution?
I think we passed a resolution supporting something, but I don't think we've actually joined it yet, no.
Oh, okay. Well, that to me is important because that involves recycling. And I think we've done such a bad job on recycling. And at some point, let's discuss the Broward Waste Management Plan and how all the cities are trying to get together and work together so that we can increase our recycling from the pathetic 38% that it is up to at least 70%. So at some point.
Okay, very good. So I do have a follow-up question regards that workshop, Lindsay, right, Lindsay? Linda, I'm sorry. So can you tell us about the participation, attendance? Did we have frustrated customers, just as Ralph is, or more just educational purpose? What was the feedback?
I can tell you that participation in the in-person meetings were not great. I think the maximum participation we got was from District 3, who had 10 or 11 people show up. The other groups one had a group of 8 and one had a group of 6. And then no one showed up at all for District 4's at all. No one showed up. So we stayed for like 20 minutes and no one showed up. But online, I think we had a participation about 70, a little bit above 70 people joined online. So not as large of a turnout as I would have liked, especially with this being such a hot topic item, that I really was anticipating greater participation from the public themselves. And like I said, we made ourselves available in person in every district as well as online, and limited, no more than 100 total overall, or 105, 110 people citywide.
Okay. Well, I do want to thank you to the staff for giving that opportunity to the residents, but sounds to me that everybody want to comment on the social media rather than participate in the workshops. That was the opportunity to ask those questions, to clarify, instead of going and just complaining on the social media. But I do want to say thank you from the residents and I'm sure the board. Greg.
I was gonna say, were there any actions that came out of these face-to-face?
Yes, there was one person who had a meter issue where she had 3 meters in her property, was only billed for 2. She had new construction. We were able to investigate in person 1 or 2 events, but and they were actually true things that happened, like something with her property. She had it redone. She bought the property next to her, combined it, built new construction. She had 3 meters. And was only being billed for 2, and she knew that other meeting was, so we had to resolve that issue for her from her construction.
But that could be resolved over the phone, not necessarily the workshop.
Yeah. So that's true.
I have a question.
Yes, Lisa.
Yeah, just for clarity, it sounds like that the compounding and then being charged at that tier level is something that happens at a very low percentage point. But it also sounds like every now and again, you guys do some quality assurance and you guys run reports to see when that's happening, and then you try to correct it before they have to call in. But as a consumer or a customer, I guess it's just prudent for all of us. Like if we're trying to get a message out to the folks and the neighbors and whoever's listening, that we do so in a way that just says, hey, you should double check your bills and make sure that, and if you are, just call the city and they'll correct it if they don't find it before you call.
Yeah, because just as like we were saying, human nature, right? Sometimes we may miss, and the system generates that double billing. And yes, you're billed at the highest tier. A lot of us in the city live in the city, so we get bills too. But it has been getting reduced since we have AMI because we're getting them digitally. AMI is the digital meters.
No, I know exactly what AMI is.
Right. Yeah. So now we're getting those reads automatic. We don't have to have a human go out to the property to read the meter, and those are those reads that's coming in is helping a lot. So between now and next year, when all the meters in the city is replaced, we're hopeful that some of the issues that we're having now will dissipate.
Yeah. And I wanna share that we bill in cycles, so when we're doing the AMI implementation, we're implementing a cycle at a time. So everybody who would get billed, we basically turned on live at the same time. And so everybody in that billing cycle, which is how, if there's an error with 2 bills being generated in a month, it happens by cycle, it's not citywide. So I think we have, 17 cycles, 18 cycles?
20.
We have 20 cycles. So we have 20 different times a month that we're running the billing report. So it might have happened to Imperial Points through their cycle, but it's not happening at this time because it's a different cycle.
I disagree, because I have a doctor who doesn't live in Imperial Point. He said he had the same problem with the, meter, apparently looking at his bill, no reading was for those months, and I told him, I said, yeah, it's something, so it's not a handful of people, it's thousands of customers.
I'm not saying it's a handful, I'm just saying it's cyclical.
Okay.
So it's by cycle, not by, so your cycle, he might be on a different cycle that's experiencing a similar but different issue.
Same date.
Maybe.
Same
If it's the
date.
same date, then you're part of the same cycle. You might not be in the same neighborhood, but you're part of the same cycle.
Okay.
Because we bill a cycle a day, Monday through Friday, none on the weekends. So it covers the entire month. So cycle 1, which covers a large area of Imperial Point, you might not be on the same street, but you're still in the same cycle. We run about 35 to 4,000 bills every day.
Yeah, I spoke to the District 1, John Herbst, and he was saying the same thing, that there was a lot of people that were complaining about that, it appeared there was no meter reading for those months that I referred to, and then yet they were getting billed and penalized, and a penalty charge, or whatever you want to call it, for the excessive use for the 1 month that had all the other 1 or 2 months added to that month. So I hope it stops. I mean, I haven't seen it since those times, but there was a lot of irate people. I mean, I said, for 60 cents, I'm not going to lose sleep for me, but other people who had other dollars, many dollars in there, and they're on a tight budget, I kind of feel for them, and I'm trying to help them out by doing what I can do to get this corrected.
Yeah, good news is Imperial Point is completely online through the AMI. And that was from the major event that happened in 2019 where the newspapers came out to Imperial Point. I was a part of that presentation back then. And we wanted to make sure that Imperial Point's AMI, because there were so many issues with that area, that your area was one of the first areas that came online with AMI. So, yes.
How is it being divided among the districts with the installations?
Don't know that answer. I just know, I don't know what, I know that they were doing the cycles. I just don't know when and who and how it was decided. I just know that Imperial Point was first.
I'm wondering if that's why the result of District 4 was not that great. And are you guys giving notices when they're happening?
I'm not in charge of that project, but I know that they are giving notices. But other than that, Jason, do you have any more that you can share from utility services on the implementation?
No, I know Ingrid works with strategic communications to provide advance notification to the districts as well as the upcoming cycle.
Yeah, they do say they send out postcards to any upcoming cycles that'll have their meter replaced. So most postcards do go out ahead of time.
Thank you. I haven't received one.
So this project is ongoing.
So you're probably not there yet. We have about 40 more thousand to go, so.
They complete 30%, right? About
20,000 so far.
Be patient. The schedule is mid next year.
No rush.
They're installing about 250 meters per day, every day.
I think the project's supposed to finish next summer, summer 2027.
Yeah.
Mid-year. Okay, very good. More questions about the meters, utility billing? Okay. Well, hearing none, well, thank you for coming to meet with us, and hopefully going forward there would be better billing. We don't have to discuss the cycle and bills in this beautiful city with the MAI. Okay, very good. Next agenda item. We're gonna move to the old business.
Can I ask you a question about the backup before we go to old business? It's actually maybe old business. In the backup material, there are the two contracts that, Ralph pointed out for the, proceeding with the unsolicited proposals for the two sewer projects. Why is it in the backup?
The stormwater project.
It's a stormwater projects. Why is it in the backup?
I
Is it
think
coming
that-
up for a vote?
I think that's gonna be in Fortify, Fort Lauderdale. This is a new business.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, no, I'll wait. I'll wait.
All right, well, thank you, staff from the utility billing. As they're leaving the room, any comments, questions, concerns on the old business? Hearing none? Okay, we're gonna move to the new business. New business is, as Marilyn said, the Fortified Fort Lauderdale Stormwater Project updates.
Do you want to say anything else before, Madam Chair? My understanding that you requested this item to be added to the.
Yes, I requested this item because we had a meeting two months ago, and there was unsolicited proposals at that time, and last meeting was June 1st, correct?
June 16th. So we
Correct.
discussed it and.
So on a June 16th, there was a closing date, I believe.
So we discussed this particular item on the June 1st meeting. I let you guys know the intent of the city to move forward with the unsolicited proposals. And then we're taken to the city commission, there was a presentation done, and then on June 16th, the city commission moved forward and approved these two resolutions that are attached.
Okay, correct. So on a June 16th, there is two separate projects. There was one for Melrose Manors, and the second one, item 260623 for Riverland.
Right.
And they both were, there was no other proposals received for either or project.
Correct.
So each project received one unsolicited proposal, and on a June 16, they both were approved by the commissioners.
So these are finished?
To move forward, correct.
Correct, we're currently in negotiations. I just reviewed, we both actually reviewed the first draft of the agreement. Now it's in the hands of our city attorney's office. For the legal terms, we looked at the scope of work and a few of the things that were discussed on the dais, things that had already been discussed between the commissioners and the contractors that we wanted to ensure that they made into the agreement. Those things, especially when it comes to emergencies, in the event that there's heavy rain while we're in construction. So we ensure that all those terms and conditions are in the agreement. So right now it's with our city attorney's office, reviewing it from a legal standpoint.
So both of these are both very qualified guys. I mean, it's
Yeah,
not.
definitely.
It's
I
they're all-
personally have worked with both of them.
Yeah.
So
I
they're
have no issue-
qualified,
I
and they've
have no-
also been the contractors that have completed the other neighborhoods of Fortified Lauderdale 1.
Right, so, and they're all working to the same standard, they're all providing the same
Correct.
contract, same guarantees, everything is similar?
Well, this particular one, and I'll let, the other contracts that were awarded were design, bid, build. Which means that the city completed the design, we went out to bid with a design, and the contractor, provided us a proposal, a cost proposal based on the design. This particular one is a little different just because the design was not completed. The contractors went ahead and submitted the unsolicited proposals with criteria with a guaranteed maximum price. It was a lump sum price to deliver the entire project. So the terms and conditions for those two processes are a little different in the way that my intent is to protect the city, to ensure that there's no unforeseen change orders, that this is the most guaranteed maximum price. So anything that was not envisioned it's at the contractor's expense.
Right.
So from that standpoint is different than the ones that we.
So the process is a little different because of the design
Correct.
issue.
Yes.
But the actual standards, the materials, all of that is the same.
Those standards are the same. The criteria is the same.
Udo.
Okay, so the good news is those both projects were approved for the stormwater improvements. And Melrose Manors, there was 91.8 million. That's a GMP, just the guaranteed maximum price. And Riverland stormwater improvement, 79.6 million. And what I want to share with the board, there was also good news on July 2nd. The commissioner approved the financing package for the stormwater revenue bonds with the 45 Fort Lauderdale projects in an amount not to exceed, I guess, 333 million. And that revenue bond will finance both projects. Am I correct?
Correct.
Okay. So.
That's 333 million out of the 500 million that they anticipate eventually to spend, right? It says something about
Well, there's
500 million, a principal amount not to exceed 500 million without an appeal. So we have more to go on that.
Correct. This is the
No,
phase.
No.
I'm so sorry, yeah. So what we did was, for the first time issuing stormwater bonds, and because we were using a different methodology than we had used before to calculate the rates for the stormwater process and the stormwater utility system, we went for bond validation with the courts to make sure that our methodology was good and that no one could challenge how we were collecting the stormwater. Because we went from a system where we added it to your utility bill and charged you a small amount to putting it on the tax rolls as a fee for trips and impervious surface. So in order to make sure that the bonds didn't get challenged, the city hired a bond attorney. We went to validation with the county, with the bonds, for $500 million. And we've already issued money already in 2023 for the first set of bonds, about 200 million. This 330 is the full 500 million that we were allowed to do. So after this, any future bonds will no longer be covered under that validation. But since we weren't challenged, neither the first bonds and no questions yet with the second bonds, we won't have to go back for a second validation if we issue future bonds in the future. So
we're into it for 500 million.
at this point in time, a little over 500 million, that's correct.
Okey doke.
Between the bonds that were issued in 2023 and then we had a WIFIA loan for some of the projects, which is the water infrastructure financing with EPA. We got a loan from them for 119 million. So between those three things, yes, we're over 500 million so far issued since 2023.
Gotcha. It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
They're big projects. Very big.
Okay, so I guess my question to the board is how we gonna track this money? Because now we have already awarded under negotiations for a scope 171 million, and we have almost as much remaining funds, 161. And I'm sure there's a list of projects waiting for either solicited or non-solicited proposal. But I would like to have, and I'm sure the staff has an idea also how to track that, but we need to spend this money quickly, obviously. So we know that the inflation and the work, the demand is just gonna, 500,000 is not gonna be worth as much, 5 years from now. Plus there's obligation when we issue a bond. My understanding is we have to spend in 3 years. Am I correct?
There is a timeline.
So there is a time frame that when spending,
3 years to spend the money.
36 months.
Yeah.
correct. So that's what I see. Yes, the good news is we got awarded, and in June 16 we have 2 projects. We're gonna spend half. There's another half remaining for waiting for the project. But the spend means it's not. We're gonna allocate them, and we're gonna award the contractor and waiting for 2 years, and he's gonna hit the grant. What that means, He needs to hit the ground, put the pipes, put the pump stations in it, all the infrastructure, so the city can pay that bill, and that's means spending, and not because we allocate it. So there's a big difference, because obviously we are AAA rating for the bond, and I want us to maintain that, and I'm sure the city wants as well. So how are we gonna accelerate those projects, and how we can keep a track and push the contractors, either the scope or start procuring the materials, start designing at the same time, kind of progressive design. But I think it's very critical not to miss. 3 years may go really fast, so I don't want us to fail on this.
When it comes to those first two projects that were awarded, the contractor has a commitment of delivering the project substantial completion of 2 years. So that is 2 years from the notice to proceed, which is why it's very imperative that that we finalize negotiations as soon as possible.
Have you issued notice to proceed?
Notice to proceed, 2 years from the notice to proceed, from the city's notice to proceed to the contract.
Have you?
No, it's still in negotiation.
We have not issued yet, not until we finalize and we execute the contract.
Oh, okay.
The other remaining funds, it was to initiate the design of the first 3 projects, Fortify Phase 2. And then, since there might be some sort of that we're internally with finance and our city manager's office and public works, we're starting how we can ensure that we do utilize all those funds within the 3-year mark. Those conversations are still ongoing, but the intent is to make sure that we do expend the 330 by the 36 months.
Yeah, it also goes towards other projects that are currently designed.
Yeah.
So we have Southeast Isles. So there's, I forgot the exact amount allocated to that, maybe $35-40 million.
So the question is, do you have other projects that they have 100% complete design or nearing completion, so they can go to the bid?
Yeah, so that would be Southeast Isles.
Okay.
The last meeting you mentioned,
Well,
you wanted the remaining, you had projects in mind that you wanted to see it go to. Is that happening? Is that what you're saying now?
I think, are you thinking of the CDBG DR funds?
Possibly.
That's something
yeah, that's a different.
Will these funds go towards the second phase projects that are remaining?
Yeah, so design of the first 3.
Is that happening now?
As soon as we get the $330 million.
Yeah, the money is due to close on October 13th. Or is that right? August 13th, I'm sorry. So when we close on the bonds is when your 3-year window to spend starts. So it starts August 13th before your 3-year window starts.
So like negotiations, everything, there's a deadline.
When it comes to the bonds, no, I'm talking about when issuance of the bonds. So what they're saying is that they don't have the money yet. The money has not been, the bond resolution was approved, but the funding, the cash has not been received yet. We won't close on that bond until August 13th. So at that point in time, they will have the funding in place to start spending it.
August 13th of this year. We've seen so many.
The project is completely different than the bond issuance process. So the bond issuance was already approved by commission on July 2nd.
Correct.
So we're actually finalizing all the paperwork. We bid it out, it's come back, we know who won the bid. And so now we're just finalizing the bonds and issuing the bonds themselves.
We're already setting up the task force to start designing those first 3 anyway. That's already been in the works. So those projects already exist.
Yeah, but you're setting up a task force to start the design?
No, task orders.
Oh, task orders, oh, yeah, task orders is good.
Is it?
Okay, so in our package is a July 2nd memo, so I will ask the board to pull out that memo, this way everybody's on the same page. Page 2 is the Fortify Phase 2 project, right? And there's a ranking as follows. Melrose Park, considering awarded, correct, under negotiations.
Say that again?
The Melrose Park? No, I'm sorry.
So this is the list of Phase 2.
Okay. So we have 12 projects on page 2.
Page 2 of 4.
Okay.
On July 2nd.
So, question to the staff. Out of those 12 projects, which one are 90% designed, or going to the solicitation? Done?
Those are phase two. Phase one is the one that we're nearing the end. So Melrose Manors, Riverland Civic, and Southeast Isles are part of phase one. Also Victoria Park was under construction currently, and Progresso, which is pretty much at the end. They're just finishing the pump station. So that's phase one.
So, with the 330, we're going to initiate the design of the first three from that list of 12.
Okay. And the first three on this list, correct?
Yeah, Melrose Park, Middle River Terrace, and Lauderdale Isles, Oak River, River Landings, and adjoining areas.
So this is my concern. Since we have to spend this money, should we do design build?
So that is part of the strategies that we're discussing internally to see how we can do that to ensure that we spend the money within the 3 years.
Okay.
So those are things that are being considered at this time.
I don't wanna speak for entire board, but I can speak for myself and as a chair, considering you have 36 months, the bond has been approved, it's gonna be signed probably within the weeks, and the city will pay already on this bond. We will have to make a payments.
Yeah.
So not only, my concern is not to miss the deadline so we can ship our ranking, but I think as, you know, considering the price gouging and everything else, I'd like us to move in an accelerated procurement, which is design build, progressive design. But I don't like it when we spend a couple of $1 million to take a year or two to design the project, and then we're going out on the street and we're thinking the construction is going to cost us $40 million and it's twice as much, and we cannot complete the list of this project. So I think it's better when we just move forward with the design build procurement method. This way we shrinking that time just for the advertising. So
part of this, and the challenge with design build specifically, we need to probably buy property to put some of these pump stations on. I mean, these first three, I think we're doing 10 pump stations. I mean, design build, even if we call it a design build, you're still challenged by having to acquire those spaces because you're not going to get a permit until you can prove you own the property you want to put a pump station on. Not saying we're not looking at things depending on the area, but part of that money is acquisition of property.
Ma'am?
Yes.
This isn't gonna work. They're never gonna get this done in 3 years, especially if you have to go out and buy property.
It's been very
Well,
conservative.
spend the money.
Yeah, the bulk of this is to finish phase one.
I was gonna say that, more than 50% of the funding so far is for phase one projects that have already been completely designed and ready for shovel and the groundwork. So the two, right,
Good, that's good, that's the first tranche, the
Right.
first part of the tranche.
right,
I think we'll finish that, okay?
yeah.
But if you're now looking at 1, 2, 3, 4 projects,
They need to
You
get
have-
design. They plan on having design done in 3 years,
So,
right?
so Ms.
no, you just told me they had to spend the money in 3 years.
We have to spend the money in 3 years. We can't complete a design in less than 3 years. So just think of the 330 as different buckets. One bucket, which is more than 50% of the 330, is gonna be to finish the design, the construction of 3 projects or 3 neighborhoods in the phase one.
Oh,
Then
all right,
we're
all right,
also-
okay, thank you very much.
We're going to initiate the design, the other bucket is to initiate the design of the first 3 neighborhoods, or the first 3 projects that we have in phase 2. But also, as part of the design process, we had to acquire property. And with that acquisition, there's a cost. So that bond money would also cover that cost. So we are slated to, and also on top of seeing if we can advance some of these projects as, with design build, we are slated to spend the money in those 3 years that we have.
So I think
Very ambitious.
We
I
have
don't
to do
think
it.
there's enough contractors to build this stuff in 3 years.
well,
I mean, once you got Mancon and the other guy working on the ones that they're working on,
Yeah.
who else is there?
There's other contractors.
We've seen, we have Rickman, DP, Lonzo. I mean, there's contractors.
so hold on, Greg. Let me just piggyback what Marilyn said. I do agree. I'm concerned with this timeline, but would you agree with me that you cannot do the design until you have a property, because you don't know what you're designing, right now,
I need to do the design to figure out where it's going to go, the pump station hydraulically.
but if you don't have property and the property owner doesn't wanna sell, then the design goes to the
but
trash.
I wouldn't say that. I mean, that's
Have
similar
to
to
redesign.
how we were doing,
Domain.
for instance, Riverland, right? We had to get an easement at a property. It's been a process, we're about to wrap up on that, but, we can't
And how
even
long
get-
is that process?
I don't know how long that one took, cause I wasn't here, but maybe a year and a half? But the design, like the permitting's pretty much done, it's just changing on that paperwork so we can give it to the permitting agency. All that to say, I think it needs to be designed, because you gotta figure out at least somewhat where hydraulic we're gonna put these things. I know conceptually, because we have conceptual permits for all these, we conceptually know more or less where they're gonna go. It's just, we gotta get that design team on board, finalize that, and then start the process, right?
Okay,
I have a question.
yes,
Two questions.
Lindsay and Greg.
I was just curious how big of an easement, and then it's scary to hear we have to get the design team on board when we live here and we can suffer another big problem waiting for all this to happen.
I mean, I get it. We're doing our best to work as fast as we can. So how big of an easement on the Chipmunk property? I think it's 25 foot wide. It's just for an outfall.
Thank you.
Greg?
The 3-year date, is that project complete, final payment on the project, or is that money committed to your contractor?
It's spent.
Money
Yeah.
spent, so
Money spent.
paid out.
Money spent. And I think that's actually percentage, I believe it's 80% already spent, so there's little bit, it's not 100%, but in the first 3 years. Question, do we have out of those 12 projects, because my approach would be, let's get the low-hanging fruit first. If we have a property, not complicated design, not complicated construction, I don't know how this ranking works and probably makes sense, but if we have first 3 projects waiting for property acquire, I don't wanna stop the progress and say, we gotta wait until shady banks, we can do nothing because we're waiting to negotiate the property acquisition. I like to be efficient with this, and I think would be better maybe tackle the projects that they are low-hanging fruit, we know we have property, or maybe it doesn't need property. Maybe it's already not so complicated that we actually need an outfall only or a couple of drains, or I think we can maybe move that priority ranking list and start spending money and doing design build on a smaller projects as we still negotiating the property and acquiring the purchase of this property for those bigger projects that they need that, right? So I want us to be more flexible, and I don't know what the staff imagine, but it looks like to me that we're doing those first 3 right now and nothing else, that we have a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 until 12, and I don't like that approach. I think we need to look more what we can do right now in quick, fast, and efficient. Thank you.
And I'll let Roberto go into a little bit more in depth as to how we came up, the process and the methodology that went into place when coming up with this criteria, because there was an analysis that was looked at. We looked at the entire city based on the need. That's how these neighborhoods or these projects were identified or ranked. So there was a ranking. That ranking was also adopted by the city commission, I believe via resolution. So any deviation from that ranking would have to go back to the city commission. I'm not saying it's not impossible. I do like that approach of looking, if, for lack of a better word, if we're stuck with a neighborhood or a project that cannot move forward, if there's others that can move forward, I'm open to exploring that. However, deviating would have to go back to the city commission, and they would have to be in agreement to do such. One thing that, this is a great conversation for this committee, that if staff identifies a neighborhood or a project that could benefit from that, we will bring it here, we'll discuss it, we'll make a recommendation, and then we can go to the city commission with that recommendation, and hopefully they'll accept it. But those are great conversations to have, and I'll let Roberta go into the criteria that was done to rank these projects.
Yeah, there was like, maybe you remember from quite a few of our commission conferences, but a lot of it dealt with repetitive loss, depth. There was a few things. So, I mean, by far, these first three are the worst, right?
Agreed.
Now, you know, we are looking at other things. For instance, some small packages we could probably put out there in the meantime. Like, hey, it might not be the whole neighborhood, but in the meantime, I'd be able to get this street just because I have a way to build it where it's functional, and then we can build off of there. That's something that we are looking at with our stormwater. What is the term? Basically, hazing SOAR, right? They're the ones who have our stormwater contract. So even while we're in the design phase and maybe having to acquire property or whatnot, we still have those other things we're going to be looking into. So those advanced packages that can go into other areas, not necessarily the massive project as the whole neighborhood, but pieces. One thing I'd caution about moving the order around, it's kind of planned in a way that once we get to the next third year state where we need to pull a bond again, it's to pay for the previous. So it's kind of already set up. Of course, there could be adjustments made, but right now, the way that the stormwater rate was billed at and the price, the estimated cost of these projects is kind of already set. As of now, at least, there's somewhat of a plan.
I have a comment, Madam Chair.
Lisa?
So, I mean, is it fair to assume that none of these projects are on a critical path?
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
So for instance, you can't do 1, 2, and 3. You'd have to you can't start on 6 unless you do 1, 2, and 3
So
first.
they're not functionally interactive like that.
Right, so they're not
This
on a
is
critical
based
path.
on the worst to the least worst.
So this is based on condition, overall need, etc. But as far as the funding part of it, where you're gonna throw money at these projects, none of these things are on a critical path. Like I can finish number 1, right, before I can move to number 2, or I can do them all in succession, I can crash them. What I'm saying is that
Lisa,
you can restack these,
Yes.
not based on the need of priority, but funding wise. Like if you're like, hey, I'm at a stop at Melrose right now because I have to acquire something that I didn't understand, or maybe there's an environmental, issue that's going on that you need to pause for before you can move on. Then you can move on to the next or.
So I guess what you're asking for, each project is independent from each other, from the other.
But the thing about it is, I wanna preface it, this list was approved by City Commission in the order it is. And then second, once you assign funding to a project, it's very difficult to take the money off because something is stalled. So the money typically sits there until it's resolved. We don't have the ability to take that money and fund something else further down the path unless you abandon the project, and we don't like to go to commission and tell them we're abandoning the project. So we have to leave, once you identify the funding, whether it's 10, 15, 20 million for the design, that money sits there until all roadblocks and everything is done.
So I'm not sure if I understand, because what I'm reading on this page, can anybody read this with me? Project may be designed and constructed concurrently based upon various factors.
Yeah, 1, 2, and 3 at the same time.
1, 2, and 3 at the same time.
Okay.
And then
But
Why not 4, 5, 6, and 7 together with 1, 2, and 3?
Funding.
And capacity.
And that's what it says,
And
based on
capacity to do the work. It's capacity, you don't wanna dig up the whole entire city at the same time, so it's about capacity.
I'm not
and
saying about the digging up the city at the same time. Obviously, we would not do more than if we don't have a funding. But my concern is that we may miss opportunity to get this as much as we can from the money, because we're gonna be focusing on designing, and there was one property, then you're gonna have to redesign the hydraulics and going from, instead of southeast, they're gonna be going east-west, repumping, because we may not get this property. So I kind of, I will check the resolution myself, how flexible it is. I trust, there is some constraints that we may have to wait until we complete.
The way that the resolution is drafted, they can do any of the 12 projects that they want. But I'm just saying, commission has approved the first three as the first three for funding from it. And if there's enough to go into 4 and then 5 and then 6, then they will do that in succession order. But we're gonna, unless commission, and this list here, the one I drafted the bond documents to send to the city commission, it was based off of their priority list of what projects should go first. And the funding was to give, with this 330 million, to complete the phase 1 projects that were fully designed and ready for construction, and to provide funding for the first 3 projects of that list. We added all 12 projects so that if they get done with the first 3 and they have more funding, they can go to number 4 and number 5 without having to go back to commission again. But the first 3 are typically is what we anticipate funding from this bond.
Okay.
And particularly the first 3, since we plan on putting these out in packages, the 3 for construction, you want to be careful how far in advance you design something. You don't want to design something 6-10 years in advance. You might have to.
Right. Okay, a lot of hands. Okay, Roosevelt, Madeline, Greg.
I just want a clarification on the word abandon.
Yes.
Because it doesn't mean not doing. It means doing later. So when you say abandon a project, it doesn't mean it's not gonna happen.
Correct.
It's gonna happen at a later time.
Whenever it gets future funding. I agree, but when people see the word abandoned and they live in a neighborhood, it freaks them out. But our charter is written.
Let's say postpone.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure that,
No.
see, you talking to us and we understand.
Yeah.
But when you're talking to the people in the street, they're the one that's got to understand. They're the one that's gonna call you at home.
Right. That's exactly the point. But when you put a budget amendment and say you're gonna abandon a project to move the money to someplace else, it's the wording, but the wording, the city attorney's office is a person who tells us we have to do it this way based upon our charter.
I understand.
So, but you're right, it's not abandoning, it is just removing the funding. And in the future, you can assign more funding to it, but you still have to do the word. If you're taking all the project dollars out of a project to move it to a different one, even if you have future funding later on, the budget amendment is gonna say you're abandoning the project.
And we do have that note, in the backup from years ago that says when you abandon, we wanna know where it came from and where it's going.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm good.
Okay. Can I get some clarity on this $330 million? You said this $330 million could be used to finish up some of the projects from phase 1.
Yeah, the bulk of it is for that.
A bulk of it is for that.
More than
And
50%.
more than what?
50%.
More than 50%. And in that 330 are the 2 projects that we just approved.
Yes.
There's nothing left.
Yeah, that's only.
What's left?
That's like what?
The both projects combined is $173 million.
So if $173 million plus 50% of what the other project was.
No, not another 50.
The 173 is 50% of the 330, more than 50% of the 330.
Okay, and then we have just approved 2 projects using this money.
That is, those 2 projects
Are still in that, okay.
and the 172 is the same.
Right, so what we got is $330 million minus 173.
Correct.
Right, and then
And
some
you
goes to Southeast Isles.
Well, forget about you. You're gonna pay Southeast Isles. Are you gonna be able to do 1, 2, 3?
Design, yes.
Design, yes.
Design.
Yeah, but I don't understand. It's not just design. You gotta spend that money
The
in
design-
3 years.
The design would be
work-
spending.
Design work is an expenditure.
Yeah.
And you're allowed to charge that to bonds because it helps to lead the work for the construction. So because I know that these are neighborhoods that are needed, that don't have infrastructure or failing infrastructure, there's no option about whether or not we're gonna do the work.
No,
So the designing piece is funded by the bonds, and then once the design is complete and they get a package to either P3 or design build or whatever they do, the construction piece we will add more money to the project to finish the construction once we know what the estimate is.
Okay, but where will we add more money? we'd have to pull another bond?
We will, there's a plan,
That's the plan.
so there's a plan to pull more bonds in 2029 and 2032.
Okay, so if we spend the money, the balance of the 173 million, by August of 2029, we're in compliance with the bond?
Yes.
And that's only just the design, or do we have to actually have the physical stuff in the ground?
That is, so the 173 is a physical construction, because the design of that is done already. So then they're gonna do the design of the next three, as much as they can, and depending on how fast it is and what the cost is, if they have extra project funding, they can start some construction work for those three as well within that 3-year period.
I think we're still talking against each other. At one point, you told me that we had to use this money in
Within 3
36
years.
months.
That's correct.
That's August 2029.
That's
We
correct.
gotta use the whole $330 million.
Right?
Whether it's finishing up the other ones,
Yeah.
starting the new ones.
That's correct.
Okay, so that means that we still have got to get in the ground on one or two of these number 2 projects.
Yes or no, you can either get in the ground or you can start design of 4, 5, and 6. You don't have to all let it be shoveled in the groundwork. It can be either or.
Madeline, I think the confusion is that spending means whatever they identify as a project. If they identify design and they design and pay for that design, that's
That's
spent.
an expense.
Okay,
That's-
If
yes,
they
that's what-
identify
yes.
design build, which is very good point, there's not much money to play with.
No.
Right.
And that's probably why we don't wanna even move with the design build, because the design build is gonna be
They
much
can
more
make more than
expensive.
what we
That would
have.
include the construction, the procurement of the piping and everything, and the lift stations.
That clarified it for me. You don't have to actually physically build the project,
No.
you have to just do the design.
Right.
Well, you have to do what you identify as a project. And if you identify design as a project, then you just designing. If you identify construction, then you need to spend money for construction. But you can identify design build, which is both. But that's the good point. It's not, that's probably why the city is resisting to do the design build on those 3, because there may be just a few $1 million left.
It might not be enough.
That may just cover the design portion, and I would agree with that. The design probably cost, 2-3 million, versus design build when you have to do 30 million, correct? So, okay, I'm sorry.
I
Greg
would
and,
piggyback on that.
okay, Lindsay and then Greg.
So wouldn't by then there would be an idea of what's left remaining, and then how long does it take to get awarded another bond? Like, would it be simultaneous so you can continue, or is there gonna be a big delay?
So, and I'll let Linda go in later. So the idea that the city took when they were programming the bond series was just like how we did now. This bond that we're doing now, we're paying for the construction, the bulk of it is gonna pay for construction of phase 1 projects. And then initial design of the next 3. Now, then come 2029, we're gonna get another bond, which is gonna pay, the majority is gonna pay for the construction of the first 3
Design.
projects that we're designing now. And then the money that is left over will then initiate the design of the other 3 projects, and so on and so forth. So it's like a sequencing, a rolling sequencing that we're doing. So by the time 2029 comes, we'll be done with design and we'll be ready to pull the bond. And then we're gonna initiate construction, and then we're gonna initiate design of the next 3, and so on and so forth.
There's no way to request another bond now without waiting to spend it all.
Huh? I'm sorry.
To-
I didn't
to-
hear you.
can't just
to request
request-
another bond now.
Starting now, so it's there.
And it's
But
not supported by our
the
rate.
problem
be
is,
spending it.
in order to draw that much in, first of all, I question whether or not we can spend it within the 3 years, and that's the IRS rule. But the question is then the pressure on the rates. So when we draw bonds, we have to increase rates to support it, and we don't wanna, there was a minor increase planned for 2027. We don't wanna increase it a lot more in order to support those bonds, so the rates just could not support issuing a larger bond at this point in time without major rate increases. So we have to wait till 2029, when there's some planned increases, to then do another
And
draw.
hope that the interest rates don't go through the ceiling.
But that would be a temporary period of time until it was really for the rate increase, just to get through the construction.
Well, to the amount that we draw, I think there's another 300 million that's expected in 2029. So the thing about it is, if we wanted to draw it right now, we would just increase the rates and everybody would complain, and then the money would sit there and not be spent because we don't have the capacity to do all the work.
I would be thrilled to pay more to see it done.
I know, but you know what? There's a lot of pressure on people between the water bill, the tax, and even though we haven't raised taxes, your taxes are going up. People, we're trying to figure out a way not to put so much pressure on people's budgets. As best as we can, as best as we can.
Well, and also with caution, back to, you alluded to earlier, how many contractors there are. While there are contractors, if you start putting out a ton of work, you're gonna start paying through the roof, because that's when you get these prices where,
Correct.
well, if you have
The
to
demand
take it.
increase the price.
Right.
So I do agree with the city staff, that's the right approach. You wanna withdraw in the phases. There's always delay on the materials, there's some war somewhere, and you don't wanna take a huge, the bond is a loan. And I agree with the staff, you cannot just take the money, you have to show that the money is coming, which is increasing the rates. Nobody's gonna give you a loan for a couple of $1 million unless you have supported salary. It's just the same, but if the city takes that loan, it's called bond versus, loan from the city.
So just to summarize, we're into this for 500 million already, okay? In 2027, it's another 2 or 3?
2029.
2029.
Another 3.
Another 3. That would
Every
be
3 years.
It's about $1 billion program, a little over $1 billion is what we estimate. the program.
Every 3 years.
That's for the stormwater.
Yes,
For
and you
everything.
remember we started at 4.6. That's what we started with as a budget.
Greg, I'm sorry.
I wanted to give you guys an idea when you're releasing your scope of work to your contractors to consider building a specialized site acquisition design re-engineering team into the scope. So basically you've got a critical path item of site availability for these pump stations.
So we already have a contract out for that now, that's sort of exploring that.
Okay, so a specialized team that.
Yes,
So if you realize
the
you need
whole
it.
thing is just to find the property where this is gonna go.
And then an engineer that goes out in the field with them says, okay, this points at lots and
Well,
spaces.
it's being done by an engineer, it's also being done by Hazen.
Okay.
As the program manager over the stormwater, program.
And then also, I just want you guys, everybody to feel comfortable that any step or any decisions that the city can make to advance these projects, we are thinking about that. So I don't want you guys to just think that this is the plan and we're just gonna stick to it because this is what we have. If we have more money left over, if we have other out-of-the-box ideas that we can implement to advance other projects, we will take that and if it makes sense, we would take those recommendations to our city commission. So it's just based on all the different factors that we have to account for, the funding, the capacity, and all of these things, this was the best plan that was able to be developed at the time.
Yeah, so part of the accelerating is what you're alluding to. We have that task already executed for the property search.
Okay, good. Task force.
I just have a quick question on a
Yes.
technicality. The cost of issuance of $2,178,000 and change, is that coming out of the regular capital budget? Or is that being rolled into the bond funds?
The what?
It's in a loan.
The cost of issuance,
The cost of issuance money comes from the bonds, so as
so
part of
it's
the
been
bond
rolled in,
proceeds covers the cost of issuance as well.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay.
Includes in the loan.
because we don't have money in the budget.
No, we don't.
Lindsay?
Quick question, last meeting, we stated that there was testing done and approved for the overflow water that will come from Riverland area into the New River. What exactly was done for that to,
Testing? Not
Well-
familiar with what you're talking about.
there were studies done to make sure that it can sustain the overflow of water? Because the river, at least during the historic flood, the water had nowhere to go with the rain, it was all one level. So if more
which area is this?
stormwater is
You said
pumped
Riverland?
into it
Oh, where Riverland and Merrill's district.
on the North Fork,
So South Florida Water Management District has maximum discharge rates for all their water bodies, right? So that where we would be discharging is the North Fork of the New River. So we're limited to, off the top of my head, 70.8 cubic feet per second per square mile. So they've already done all that math, South Florida. So we're doing as much as we legally can discharge into that water body. That makes sense.
I'm just curious if it's like overflowing into people's backyards. Are
No.
you
Part of minus the statutory limit we have modeling data for a bunch of storm events, and it's not even just this year. We look at future events based on projected sea level rise from the county and from the other. I don't know if it's the FDP's map or South Florida's map of what the 2070 could look like. We look at that stage information and make sure it's not adversely impacting anybody. So that's part of the process of getting a permit. We have to do that.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Fort Lauderdale? Okay, well, I do have one. Obviously, I like that we had this discussion here. Heated or not, but eye-opening after 2 months that some good news is, but I do want to track those projects a little bit better than us, pulling the resolutions and asking random questions. So I think going forward, since this is critical to spend in 3 years, and I would like to have include that with each meeting, kind of the progress. If you guys negotiating, I would like to know is the negotiations completed, the contract is signed or not, what is the status on the properties, what is the status on the design, what is the status on those 3 other projects like the Southeast Isle and everything else. So questions to the staff, do you want me to come up with some template that I would like going forward from the beginning, how much money we have left, or you will
We'll
provide some?
work with our financial team and see what's best. We're gonna be doing.
Perfect.
I have some ideas myself. I'd like to talk to the team.
Okay.
I'll be more than happy to share that with you and pre-approve it before we start implementing.
Excellent, let's do that. I would like to see from the beginning award, a short scope, and then we just see the progress all the time, because right now it's even confusion for the members to figure out which one is a phase 1, which one is a phase 2, and I understand we're gonna be rolling those projects, so we're designing and constructing at the same time. So let's work. I would work with the staff directly to make sure there is a better communication attached to each meeting, because we're gonna track that band. With that, we're gonna move to the next item. The next item is the Public Works updates for the CIP financial report quarterly. I'm not sure if that's gonna be Roberto or Osni. I ask staff for the updates, generally speaking. You really don't wanna ask to see those little numbers attached. So this is our quarterly update. I believe staff wants to share that information with us for August 2026 for interest CIP projects.
Yes, this is something that we started implementing quarterly. Where we provide you guys with a quick update on some of the key projects that you guys mentioned before. And everything it's in writing there. City Works, as you said, there's no substantial updates.
Fine.
The consent orders. Hazen and Sawyer was selected to provide asset management consulting services, and contract negotiations are ongoing. That was recently approved by the City Commission. And then there you can see the other updates on the project and the timeline.
Okay, how are we doing with the approaching timeline for September 2026, the GTL generator?
We're on track for that. We're on schedule with that
See
one.
next month.
Yeah.
Very good.
With the sidewalk master plan, this is an initiative that our transportation department it took. It was recently approved by our city commission in May. This also ties into our special obligation bond that we recently discussed prior. When the special obligation bond was approved by our city commission, a portion of the funding both for sidewalk, there was $2 million that were allocated per district that could either be used for continued repairs of sidewalks or for new sidewalks. Those neighborhoods that currently don't have sidewalks. So right now, at the next commission meeting, I believe August 18th, there's gonna be a presentation done by Transportation and Public Works where we're going to be outlining the plan to spend that funding. That's right now is in review. We've briefed all of our city commissioners as to what the best approach is to spend the money. And now we are just looking for that clear direction from the city commission that we can proceed with that with our plan that the city is recommending. And that ties into the sidewalk master plan. If there's some neighborhoods in their districts that they want to advance the new sidewalks, we can do so. The only thing to take into account again is this is bond money. When it comes to new sidewalks, there's design that has to go into that. Whether there's gonna be curb gutter or not, whether neighborhoods do want sidewalks. I know there in my past experience, there's some neighborhoods that don't want sidewalks. So that process may take a little bit of time. So those are things that we briefed our commissioners to consider how they want us to direct the city to proceed with spending that $2 million per district. Then on top of that, there was $3.8 million that were allocated for citywide to take care of the worst sidewalks, the worst condition sidewalks in the city. So we're proceeding with that particular plan. You had a question, Marilyn?
Yes, I do. We used to have a capital budget, a CIP line for sidewalk repairs.
We still have that.
So that's so city CIP funding, that's the old sidewalk repair funds?
Correct. However, as part of this bond moving forward, I believe starting next year, some of that money that has been put into that line item is to pay for the bond. So that is decreasing the actual amount of money that we have for implementation and actual construction in the field.
I remember this when the commissioner voted for it.
Yeah.
I said, you guys are taking the money, the line out of the sidewalk repair and using it to pay for the bonds. Where's the money gonna come to repair the sidewalks? Out of the bonds. Okay, so out of the bond, how much money gets allocated to repair versus new sidewalks? Or you don't know yet?
So every district, so for sidewalks, it was $11.8 million that was allocated. Out of that $11.8 million, each district got allocated $2 million for each commissioner district to work with city staff and determine how they want to implement or how they want to spend that money in their district.
Do they want to spend it for repairs or new stuff?
That's where the direction that we're waiting, that we're trying to obtain on August 18th.
You realize $11 million is doing nothing. I mean.
So there was an assessment that was conducted, I believe in 2025, that identified, that provided a PC scoring on the sidewalks in the city. So based on that, the city estimated how much it would cost to repair the sidewalks that were in poor condition, and I believe the other word is very poor and dangerous condition.
Right.
So that was estimated to be 3.8. Now on top of that, they allocated the $8 million to per district for either additional repairs or for those neighborhoods that require new sidewalks.
So we're looking at $11.8 million for repairs.
No, there's only $3.8 million that is for repair.
Okay.
The other $8 million is up to each commissioner district, 2 per district.
Okay.
Got it.
And Marilyn,
Yeah.
yes, Roosevelt, before, because I kind of wanna piggyback what you just said. Your concern, I do understand that may look like that, but I actually like that the city is spending the bond money and allocating them quickly because we already paying for this loan. So I would rather have, and that's normal when you have identified project in a capital plan. Every city has a capital plan. We know we have to do the sidewalks and we have those recurring expenses. That doesn't mean this money is just gonna be depleted or somewhere. Right now, it's better to spend the quickly bond money because we're already paying a huge loan on this. If the projects are ready to go, the contractor is ready to go, so let's spend this money and may look like, so we're taking the projects from capital plan, but funding from the bond so we can quickly start spending this money. And then the capital projects that we just replenishing this money with the, next year when we don't have.
Good plan, but we were spending $1.5 million every year on fixing sidewalks. In 2 years, we would have fixed all the sidewalks up to $3.8 million, or close, 3 years. So the concept is correct, but I think the timing, we're not getting that much bang for the buck, and you're paying twice for the sidewalks, because when you bond them out, you're paying twice rather than pay for them as you go. So I understand the concept, but I objected strenuously to it when they did it. For all the work, for all the good that it did, I didn't think that they were kicking it down the road rather than pay for it as you go. And if you just kept paying $1.5 million, which you are gonna now pay the $1.5 million to pay for the bonds, in 3 years, you're looking at close to $4 million. And so you would have gotten it all done in 4 years and paid for it and not had to buy a bond. So we could have that discussion, over a glass of white wine. But just saying.
All right, Roosevelt.
Just want some clarification from staff, and that is the requirement by ADA for especially the sidewalks that exist, and they're not cracked and not broke, but they must be modified in order to meet ADA compliance in areas where the city bus go and the county bus doesn't. ADA require us to modify the sidewalks, even though the city buses has no scheduled stops. You just flag them down. How do we match what we're required to do by ADA with the money that we have in order to accommodate the people who want to ride?
I'm not sure I'm quite understanding the question. So the money that we currently have now, we already have a plan based on the assessment that was conducted by the city of the serious and failed sidewalks in the entire city. So the money that was identified as part of when the city issued the bonds was to address those sidewalks that are serious and failed. If there is an ADA concern in those segments of sidewalks that are in serious or failed condition, we will address the ADA concern at that time.
I got a question.
Now, a specific stop for a bus, we would have to look at those where they fall in the timeline. If they're those sections of sidewalks are serious and failed, or we could look at it on a one by one.
And even
I've got a question.
Probably works. They can be TAM.
Correct. TAM is tied to this.
Okay, Ralph.
Brought this up a couple of years back, so to the infrastructure and with people and that. I want to ask the same thing. We have a number of streets. I'll pick one, Northeast 21st Road between Northeast 62nd Street and McNabb Road. There's a hit or miss ADA ramps, and then there's no ramps, and it's inconsistent. It's not continuous. In other words, with the sidewalks, where you come to an intersection, you have your ramp that's supposed to be in compliance with the slope and the width and everything. And I asked this question, if I was in a wheelchair and I needed to get around a maneuver, I would be having to go around a more dangerous situation and get into a driveway as the ramp, which isn't. Is there anything you can do to fix this kind of inadequate situation?
Yeah, there's a few things that we can do. However, that falls a little bit more under transportation's purview, and I don't want to speak on their behalf. If you guys don't mind, we can coordinate with them to see if they can come here and provide a quick explanation. Because my understanding is that what you're describing falls under the master plan that they did. So it'll be good for them to explain everything that they looked at as part of the master plan and see what is their plan to address those concerns, those ADA concerns.
Someone in a wheelchair would have a,
But hold
proper
on,
understanding.
there was already master plan completed, so maybe that's already, it's under master plan.
Well, it's a deficiency because the master plan would have contiguous
Yes.
ramps.
That is exactly the intent of the master plan, to ensure that when
Correct.
you have gaps in sidewalks, those gaps are being fixed or addressed and filled.
So master plan is published online.
Correct.
You can go and check if that was included, if, do search for the location, and just to ensure that there was, because the city identified all those critical deflections and issues that they can now provide the funding and fix it, and they prioritize.
Okay,
So
this goes
maybe
back-
that's been already addressed.
This goes back a couple of years or so,
maybe it's
and
planning to
I'm just trying to,
But rather than doing individual project right now, let's look at through this proposal. Obviously, that will be submitted on the 18th to the commissioners, but they already identified the critical, unsafe conditions, the most
Serious and
dangerous that they would have to address immediately. So maybe that's already on that list.
well, I'll have to look, but that's a pretty dangerous street. I'm sure you're familiar with the traffic that goes through there, especially with Pompano constructing their bridge that's on the west portion of McNabb, where all the traffic is funneling through 21st and vice versa between that.
So what's that street again?
It's northeast 21st Road. Between Northeast 62nd Street or Cypress Creek Road and McNabb. And there's a few stop signs, but one of the biggest problems that I see and talk to people who are in a wheelchair and stuff, they have to go around on a driveway. They can't go across the grass and in order to do that, because there was not a continuous ADA ramps put in through that.
And we did this like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
We brought this up.
Yeah, 4 or 5, I was being
Yeah.
nice
I
2
know.
or 3 years, but,
All right, well, staff will check, but again, there is a
all right.
document online. We also need to do some work, just throwing, what ifs on the staff. Any other questions regards the sidewalk updates for the master plan from the board? None? Okay, O'Neill, MAI, I believe we can skip that. We already know it's 30%. We got the updates from Linda, I'm sorry, Linda. Next item, 45 Fort Lauderdale.
So these are some of the projects that we also talked about today.
Correct.
Progresso Village is 93% completed. Southeast Isles is one of those projects that is getting some funding from that $330 million bond that we're getting right now is 60% design. Melrose Manors and Riverland, we discussed. We're negotiating the 2 contracts. Victoria Park is under construction and is 20% complete. The construction is complete.
I'm sorry, both east and west, because we have divided Victoria.
As a whole, for us, Victoria Park's one project.
Okay, so it's 20% complete. Do we have a target?
I forgot when the end of the contract is off the top of my head, but.
So, good question, Greg. So I guess to piggyback what I asked the staff for the update, I like that format, that's fine. Obviously we have a listed project, but I would like to see the finance, how much money, if it's phase 1 or phase 2, and if they already under construction, there should be a target for completion.
Yeah, there is.
Okay.
There's a construction schedule.
Correct, and even if they contracted for the design, there should be a target for the design. So we can just build it upon this item number 5.
Whatever method or we come up with to track the 2 projects, will include these as well.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, next.
And then the
Seawall?
single master plan, all that.
So some updates, so Seville and Sebastian, it's internally routing so that the contract can be executed with the selected contractors. Actually start construction soon.
Just with that particular something, I guess a positive is we applied for a grant, for this particular to offset some of the costs that we have. Even though these projects are completely, fully funded, we still went for a funding opportunity to offset the cost, so we're still waiting to hear back from them.
Good job. Roosevelt, CEO, that's your favorite.
You guys know this is not a good topic for me. What are we doing to somewhat mitigate the costs to people who has to fix their sidewalks on private property? You got everything that is connected with city, but if he got a city right there and a city right here, and I got private property, what damn good is gonna do you to fix here and here? Because the water will come right through my place.
So, I mean,
And
again,
now,
that's
what
private
I
property.
wanna know is how are we going to, there's a whole lot of folks
How are we
cannot
incentivizing?
afford the building of these seawalls. Guys, this is,
Right,
we
so,
gotta find a way.
yeah, well, the fee waivers for living seawalls. So there's the program, if they wanna use if they're gonna design a living seawall, they'll get credit to their permit fees. I don't know if that passed
They have
though.
them, yeah.
Okay, but that's upcoming.
What's the estimated cost per foot for the seawall right now?
Well, it depends, if the city or private property, we pay more.
It doesn't matter.
So to answer that question, Roosevelt, you ask that question every meeting, yes, and you know the staff doesn't have an answer. We already direct you to the commissioners. There is a CDBG grant for the residents.
25,000, I think.
Well, they can apply online. Maybe that would cover portion. Maybe that would cover design. I don't know what that would cover. I don't have this seawall problem, but
Okay.
I kind of wanna cautious because I feel like we ask the same questions and I don't think staff have seen a capacity to answer that question. And we already know
But
that.
I want them working on it.
Well, you have to work with the commissioners.
I do.
I'm sure you do. So we have 10 more minutes to this meeting and I wanna go through entire agenda. So if there's any other questions for the seawall, I let the staff to continue with the updates. I congratulate on the grant. Thank you. It's always nice to have extra money in the city.
So I can speed it up here. Del Mar and Aurelia, pretty much all design. We have some coordination with FPL due to some overhead lines. Once we get that figured out, we'll be able to button up the design and put it out for bid. Solar Plaza Seawall is over 60% designed by now. That one's going to have a biomimicry component to it. Let's see, and then Bayview Drive Seawalls. Our task order for design is being routed. And Riverwalk North, we're getting close to the end. We're doing some coordination things that had to do with the upland improvements, with the DDA and with, what's the name of that organization?
Okay.
That's near the wharf area,
Yes.
Yes.
not where everything was just redone for the park, just to the north.
It's the part that you kind of see that's cordoned off right now. Yeah. It's pretty much it for seawalls.
And then the last project is the water treatment plan. We're still slated to, for the commission date of next month. There's already, the dates, for the ribbon cutting going out.
Yes, when is that?
I don't remember now.
But we should all be invited.
Yeah.
We should all be invited.
I'll share that date as soon as it becomes available to me.
Invitation.
We're all gonna get dressed up.
Right now, the save the date is for October 15th.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so that is great news. And that concludes that particular list.
Quick question on stormwater project specifically Victoria Park,
Yes.
is there a plan to resurface any of the roads after the project's completed? And then it's like Sixth Street is really choppy.
Yeah, there is. So whatever area we worked in, there's a plan towards the end to mill and resurface.
So the whole, like, make the whole thing flat.
I'm sure that's in a city standard.
Yeah. It looks like that.
Okay.
You're gonna put stripes on the road? We need stripes on the road because people take their half out of the middle on it.
Gerald, that's your only one comment for today's meeting. You were oddly quiet for 2 hours.
I was gonna ask
You had a
3
problem with
times
stripes on the road.
when you guys were in the battle of can we spend all this money? I was gonna ask if there's a project plan for the next 3 for the stormwater. Because if there is, the amount of expenditure against that project plan should be documented, right?
What do you mean?
In any project plan, you say we're gonna have this done by this date, and here's how much money is gonna be spent by that date. That's what I was gonna ask. Does that document exist? If it does, bring it, because Martha.
So that would be included as part of what we implement moving forward. But yes, it's part of the schedule.
Okay.
Per se, so this particular task would cost this much money. There's a date of when it's anticipated to be completed, so yeah.
Excellent. I rest my case.
Thank you, Gerald. Okay, next agenda item, we have general discussion, comments, and comments from the members. Lisa?
How would I ask for a potential motion to add, like if you, instead of just having one Zoom call in, you could have maybe 2?
I believe that's the rules of every board, so that's the citywide rule.
So you can't, that's not,
I mean, it's not impossible, but that change would affect every board,
oh, okay.
and then it would have to be initiated, by.
In an ordinance.
Yeah. Required 2 readings.
Which, speaking of which, I believe there's a tomorrow training for the board members, if you can sign up. It's an annual training conducted by the city staff, by the city attorney, about the sunshine law and our communication. We still have a meeting, Roosevelt. I know you're in hurry today. We have 6 more minutes.
We have somebody from the public in the room.
Yes, so I want to address that. All right, I'm sorry, a question, public?
Hi, my name's Carl Slang, resident of Fort Lauderdale, concerned citizen and all that good stuff. I just want to bring this to your attention because I think this is a good time for this board. Hopefully that you find this information useful and it could be addressed in some way. This is kind of new to me, so I don't know the right avenues, but I feel this is something important that needs to be brought to your attention. I noticed there was a bit of irregularity this past Thursday on an event 598. This is for an infrastructure, this is for a inflow and,
Infiltration.
An infiltration repair. I don't know how these processes go, but I do know that this has been a 4-month bid. It's been delayed 7 times. In those times, it's been about 2 weeks, with the exception of the last bid. The last bid, there was an amendment change to lower the standard. And once that amendment was put in place, it was not given additional time for the bid. And I can get into a little bit of that detail without going into too crazy, because I'm still learning all this stuff as we go. The main concern is during the actual bid process, there were some individuals that were able to place a bid. However, during the bid process, the system froze. So because of this, they were calling to the city and they were trying to get the system to go back online and get everything and get their bids in place. However, during that process, the bid time expired and they weren't able to place their bids. So I can't confirm that it was one bid person that was able to, but from what I'm hearing, it was one, so it doesn't give the opportunity for the other bid people. In addition, from my understanding, it's also the one that's been causing these delays, lobbying for the lowering of the standard, and that may hurt the city and the residents and cost us down the road. So That's my concern that I wanna bring up. I don't know if this is the right place to address it, but I wanna start here and see if at least, at a minimum, give those who placed the bid or did not have the opportunity to reopen and give them a chance to it. And also, why was the standard lower? That's also, because it's a certain certification that the city set, and it's a very high standard, and now we could be at risk as partial sewer breaks and leaks down the road. So, I don't know if those could be addressed at this time. Do I have a business card?
We'll give you our emails, so for you, if you can send that to us, via email, and we'll look into it. We could address the question about the lower of the standards, why that happened. But the other, whether the system froze or not, that would have to be a procurement department, so we'll have to refer you to that.
Okay. So from what I understand, there are screenshots and there are times of communication, but once the time did expire, there was nothing done.
So, I agree, you would have to address this with the procurement, and you also, you may appeal the bid, but there is some period that you may appeal. I'm not sure.
I have nothing to do with this contract or project. This is just something that was brought to my attention as a community leader, and something that might have hurt us long term. I know we're at a time where budgets are very important, and from my understanding, by lowering the standard, this might lead to additional repairs or breaks down the road. So that's where my concern for all this is. I do not care who the bid goes to, but I want what's best for the residents, for the city of Fort Lauderdale.
Was that, there was a lining bid?
Excuse me?
Lining?
So this is for a lateral bracket, which is, it's required, what the standard was is a saddle.
Oh, okay.
That seals it.
You talking about a T-liner, or are you talking about a cut-in-place T?
I know there's two types. There's vertical, and then there's like a lateral.
So the lateral one, I think I know what you're alluding to. I wouldn't say the standard was lowered. It was called out initially as a proprietary product, and that was a problem.
So,
because I believe it was being called as an LNA, which is proprietary.
Correct.
And then it got switched to a generic biddable item.
Correct, so it's actually more opportunities for additional, it's more competitive.
So,
but the one that was called out was a specific product.
Correct, but that's a certification that you have to get to meet the standard.
To my knowledge, it's not a certification, it's a product.
It's a product, okay.
If that's what you're alluding to, but we can see what you're.
It's just what, like I said, it said the word with to or. That was a main change that was done, and because of that, it opens up to something that someone might say it's just as good, but won't be. And it's something that I believe the city has been working with for the last couple of years. And I don't know if there's been any issues, but if we have a standard, I'm very concerned about lowering standards. So that's my concern.
All right, well, thank you, Carlos.
Yes, thanks for coming.
For coming and sharing that with us. Okay, any other comments from the members, public? I've seen none public, so with that, our next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, right after Labor Day weekend, which is September 8th. So everybody, I wish have a great Labor Day weekend. And with that, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Do it without.
Oh, you're right. Okay, then I'm meeting adjourned. 4 o'clock, beautiful.